Ladies and gentlemen, wealth is not an accident. It is a result, a consequence, a product of small decisions made over time. Most people believe you need a stroke of luck to become wealthy. But luck is only opportunity meeting preparation. And preparation is the result of habit. You don't get rich because you want to. You get rich because you do. The key is not to overhaul your life in one sweeping gesture. The key is to start with just one habit. And once that habit sticks, you add another. Let me be clear, wealth is not only about money, it's about abundance. Time, freedom, energy, but money, yes, is a part of it. And money flows to those who earn it, respect it, and manage it. So where do you begin? You begin with your morning. Control your morning, and you will control your day. Wake up with purpose, not by accident. Review your goals. Read something that strengthens your mind. The first habit of wealth is not financial, it's mental. Then you track. You track where your money goes. What you don't measure, you can't manage. Wealth builders are watchers. They know what they earn, what they spend, what they invest, and why. Another habit, saying no. Yes, that's right. Saying no to distractions, no to impulse spending, no to the things that don't match your vision. Every yes to a poor habit is a no to your future wealth, and here's a truth few want to hear. You must earn more than you spend. You must invest the difference, not once, not occasionally, but consistently. Make your money work harder than you do. That's a wealthy habit. Build a network. Surround yourself with those who think forward, live with discipline, and aim high. You cannot rise if you are chained to low-level conversations. Wealthy habits thrive in wealthy environments. Finally, stay humble, but stay hungry. Never stop learning. The moment you think you know it all is the moment you lose your edge. Curiosity is a habit too, and it pays. Remember, the habits that seem small today will shape your legacy tomorrow. Choose wisely, repeat consistently, and wealth, both financial and personal, will follow. Small habits are the quiet architects of great wealth. They don't shout. They don't arrive with fanfare. But over time, they build the strongest financial foundations. Many people are chasing the next big thing, the massive breakthrough, the one business idea that will make them rich overnight. But wealth doesn't usually come like that. It's not about one leap. It's about thousands of steady steps. And those steps are habits, small, consistent actions repeated day after day. Imagine brushing your teeth. You don't wait until your teeth are falling out to take action. You brush daily, not because it makes a dramatic difference in one day, but because over time it prevents decay. Building wealth works the same way. It's not about one giant financial decision. It's about the daily disciplines, choosing to save instead of spend, choosing to read instead of scroll, choosing to invest instead of waste. These are small things in the moment, $5 saved, 10 minutes spent learning, but over time, they compound into something powerful. Compounding is the secret weapon of the wealthy, and it only works with consistency. $1 saved and invested may not seem like much today, but give it a few years and it multiplies. A book read this week may not instantly change your income, but the knowledge and mindset it builds can lead to new opportunities, smarter choices, and greater results. The problem is most people overlook small habits because they seem too simple. They don't feel urgent. They're not flashy, so they get postponed, replaced by convenience or impulse. But make no mistake, the simplicity of small habits is exactly what makes them powerful and dangerous when ignored. You don't need to be perfect to become wealthy. You don't need to make millions right away. What you need is the ability to do the small right thing, even when it's boring. even when no one is watching, even when it feels like it's not working. That's how habits build strength. Think of a gym. One workout won't change your body, but 100 workouts will. One healthy meal won't change your energy, but eating well over a month will. In the same way, one budgeting decision won't build wealth, but doing it every week for a year will transform your finances. Wealthy people aren't necessarily smarter. They're just more consistent with their habits. They don't let a bad day throw them off course. They trust the process. They know that skipping one good habit, it can feel like nothing. But if it becomes a pattern, the consequences are costly. So they guard their routines. They automate where they can, saving, investing, learning. And they treat those actions like non-negotiables. Because to them, habits are not just actions, they are identity. They don't just do wealth. Building behaviors, they become the type of person who builds wealth. And it all starts small, always small. That's where the big change begins. Morning mastery is one of the most underrated wealth-building strategies, not because it instantly puts money in your bank account, but because it sets the mental and emotional foundation that determines the quality of every choice you make throughout the day. The first hour after you wake up is like wet cement. Whatever you press into it leaves a lasting mark. If your mornings are rushed, chaotic, or aimless, the rest of your day often follows the same path. But when your mornings are focused, intentional, and steady, you're far more likely to carry that energy into every task, decision, and opportunity you encounter. A powerful morning doesn't start by accident. It starts with intention. It starts the night before, when you choose to sleep early enough to wake up without hitting the snooze button 5 times. It starts with a decision to stop letting the phone be your alarm clock. Because once you pick it up, it pulls your attention in 100 directions before your feet even touch the floor. Morning mastery begins the moment you reclaim those first minutes for yourself. Not for emails, not for social media, not for the world's noise, but for clarity, for reflection, and for alignment. Successful people use their mornings as preparation, not reaction. They don't wake up wondering what to do, they already know. They read something that feeds the mind. They write something that clears the thoughts. They move their body, even for just 10 minutes, to shake off inertia and remind themselves that they are in control. That feeling of control in the morning spills over into how they handle money, how they deal with people, how they show up in their work. Because wealth is not just built through numbers. It's built through focus, attitude, and momentum. And nothing creates momentum like a strong morning. Mornings are when the mind is most fresh and least cluttered. If you train yourself to think deeply, plan clearly, and act deliberately in that window, you create a rhythm that's hard to shake. You start the day not behind the curve, but ahead of it. You build confidence by honoring your own schedule instead of being pulled into someone else's. Even just 10 minutes spent reviewing your goals, visualizing your ideal future, or writing down 3 things you're grateful for, these aren't just feel-good practices. They're rewiring your brain to look for opportunity instead of obstacles. That perspective shift has real consequences. When your mind is primed with purpose first thing in the morning, you make better financial decisions, you engage in more meaningful work, and you respond to challenges with a sharper mindset. That's the compound effect of mastering your mornings. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. You shift from survival mode to strategy mode. And that's when real wealth building begins, not just in your wallet, but in your discipline, in your mindset, and in your ability to make the right choices again and again. Morning mastery doesn't promise instant success, but it guarantees you're starting every day as the kind of person success wants to meet. Track and manage every dollar. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But this habit is the foundation on which financial control and ultimately wealth is built. Money that isn't tracked is money that disappears. It doesn't matter how much you earn if you don't know where it goes. The truth is, many people don't have an income problem. They have an awareness problem. They don't need to make more money. They need to understand their money. Tracking every dollar gives you clarity, and clarity is power. When you track your money, you begin to see patterns. You start noticing where you spend out of habit, not necessity. You realize how small, seemingly harmless expenses add up over weeks and months. A daily coffee here, a subscription there, a late fee you forgot about. They all pile up silently in the background. And before you know it, the money you thought was enough isn't. But once you begin documenting every transaction, every purchase, every dollar that enters and leaves your life, something shifts. You start taking ownership. You stop saying, "I don't know where my money went," and you start saying, "I know exactly where it's going." Managing every dollar is not about restriction, it's about alignment. It's about making sure your money is going where your values are. Do your spending habits match your priorities? Are you investing in your growth, your future, your goals? Or are you spending reactively, letting emotion or convenience guide your wallet? When you track and manage your money, you take back that control. You become intentional, you become disciplined, and those are the traits that lead to wealth, not just financially, but in every area of life. The wealthiest people in the world, regardless of how much they earn, have one thing in common: they know their numbers. They understand their cash flow. They review their finances regularly, not because they are obsessed with money, but because they respect it. Money respects attention. If you ignore it, it slips away. If you focus on it, it grows. When you start tracking your money, you may feel uncomfortable. You might see numbers that surprise you, but that discomfort is good. It's the first step toward change. You can't fix what you won't face. Every dollar should have a job. Whether it's for saving, investing, giving, or spending, it needs to be directed. Idle money tends to vanish. Directed money multiplies, and tracking gives you the insight to make smart decisions. It helps you avoid unnecessary debt. It gives you room to breathe. It prepares you for emergencies. It reveals opportunities to save, to invest, and to grow. And it reminds you that wealth isn't built in some dramatic moment. It's built through daily awareness, intentional action, and steady improvement. Tracking and managing your money isn't about being frugal or obsessive. It's about being awake, awake to your financial reality, awake to your potential, awake to the life you could build when every dollar is treated like a seed, not just a number. Track and manage every dollar. It's one of the simplest habits, yet one of the most powerful steps toward building lasting wealth. The way you treat money, especially the small amounts, speaks volumes about your mindset. If you ignore the little expenses, if you brush off the just a few dollars here and there, you're likely to lose more than you realize. Wealthy people, regardless of how much they make, know exactly where their money is going. They understand that what you don't track, you can't control, and what you don't control controls you. Every dollar has a purpose. Every cent is a piece of your future. When you begin to see your money as something you're responsible for, not just something you use, you begin to respect it. And respect leads to mastery. Tracking your income and expenses may feel tedious at first, but it's an investment in clarity. When you know where your money is going, you can make intelligent choices. You can cut what doesn't matter and amplify what does. You stop spending blindly and start acting strategically. And strategy is what separates those who stay broke from those who build freedom. The simple act of writing down or recording every expense, even the smallest ones, builds awareness. That morning coffee, that monthly subscription you haven't used in months, those impulse buys, they all come to the surface when you track. And the moment you become aware, you gain power. Most financial stress comes from uncertainty. Do I have enough? Where did it all go? These questions disappear when you start managing your money with intention. You eliminate guesswork. You stop living paycheck to paycheck, not just by earning more, but by becoming the kind of person who pays attention. Wealth does not require brilliance. It requires discipline, and discipline begins with data. When you know your numbers, you can create a budget that fits your real life, not some unrealistic ideal. You can set aside money for investing. You can build an emergency fund. You can plan for the future with confidence, not fear. But it starts by facing the truth. Even if the numbers don't look good at first, don't run, don't hide, because you can't change what you won't confront. Facing your financial reality is the first courageous step toward turning it around. Managing your money is not about being cheap. It's about being conscious. It's about valuing your future more than a fleeting pleasure. It's about using your money instead of letting it use you. And the better you get at managing a small amount, the more you'll be trusted with more. It's a principle as old as time. Faithfulness in little leads to abundance in much. So don't wait until you have more to start tracking. Start now. Master the dollar before you try to master the thousands. Because in the end, wealth isn't just a number. It's a habit. And that habit starts with knowing where every single dollar goes. Earn, save, and invest consistently. This is the timeless formula that builds wealth across generations. It may not sound exciting, it may not promise overnight results, but it is the method that works, not occasionally. Not when you feel like it, but consistently. Wealth doesn't respond to bursts of effort. It responds to steady discipline. It responds to the person who decides that no matter how much they earn, they will handle it with care, grow it with patience, and multiply it with wisdom. Earning money is the first step, but not the only one. Many people focus solely on increasing income, thinking more money will solve their problems. But earning more won't help if you spend everything you make. There are people who earn a little and save a lot. And there are people who earn a lot and still live on the edge of financial disaster. What matters more than how much you earn is how you handle what you earn. That's where saving enters the picture. Saving is not just setting money aside. It's declaring that your future matters more than temporary pleasure. It's choosing peace of mind over the stress of living on the edge. But even saving is not enough on its own. Money sitting idle loses value to inflation. That's why the third step, investing, is critical. Investing is how money grows. It's how wealth builds over time without you working for every dollar. The goal is to shift from trading time for money to letting your money work while you sleep. Investing may seem complicated at first, but it doesn't have to be. Start small, start simple, learn as you go. What matters most is that you start and stay consistent. Because the power of investing is in the long-term compounding effect, and compounding only works for those who keep showing up. The secret isn't in choosing the perfect stock, guessing the right time to buy, or waiting for ideal market conditions. It's in contributing steadily. It's in having the discipline to invest monthly, regardless of what the headlines say. Wealth is built not by emotion, but by habit. When you automate your savings and investments, you remove the temptation to skip. You turn a good idea into a routine. And over time, that routine builds freedom, the freedom to choose how you spend your days, the freedom to give generously, and the freedom to never be controlled by money again. The formula is not glamorous, but it is powerful. Earn as much as you can by adding value to the world. Save a portion of everything you earn before you spend a dime, and invest consistently in assets that grow over time. These aren't separate actions. They are one habit working in harmony. They are the rhythm of financial success. The sooner you align with it, the sooner your life begins to change, not instantly, but inevitably. Wealth isn't a lucky break. It's a loyal reward for those who commit to this simple rhythm and never quit on it. Stay curious and choose your circle wisely. This principle is often overlooked when people talk about wealth, yet it may be the very thing that determines how far you go and how long you sustain success. Curiosity is the hunger to learn, to understand more today than you did yesterday. It's the drive that keeps you from becoming stagnant. And just like money, curiosity compounds. Every question you ask, every book you read, every conversation that opens your mind adds another layer to your personal growth. The wealthiest people in the world aren't just those with the most money. They're the ones who never stop learning, who remain students no matter how much they've achieved. Curiosity opens doors that routine thinking can't. It keeps you sharp, innovative, and alert. When you're curious, you don't settle for what is, you seek what could be. You're willing to listen, to explore new ideas, to try, fail, and try again. That mindset naturally attracts opportunity, because people gravitate toward those who bring fresh perspective, ask thoughtful questions, and genuinely want to grow. Staying curious means you're always reaching, always improving, and always preparing yourself for the next level, financially, mentally, and emotionally. But curiosity without the right environment is like a seed without soil. That's where your circle comes in. Who you surround yourself with matters more than most people realize. The conversations you have daily shape your thoughts, your standards, and even your expectations of yourself. If you spend time around people who complain, who coast, who make excuses, that energy will wear off on you. Not because you're weak, but because environment is stronger than willpower over time. If your circle normalizes mediocrity, growth becomes uncomfortable. But if your circle celebrates learning, progress, and discipline, you rise by default. Choosing your circle wisely doesn't mean cutting people off for no reason. It means being intentional about who has influence over your mindset. Spend time with those who challenge you to think bigger, act smarter, and stay focused. Be around people who talk about ideas, not just problems. People who are building, creating, improving, not just existing. Because wealth is a mindset before it's a bank balance. And that mindset is either sharpened or dulled by those around you. The best circles don't let you stay the same. They don't let you settle. They hold you accountable and remind you of your potential. And they feed your curiosity. They introduce you to new resources, new strategies, new ways of thinking. In that kind of environment, growth becomes natural. And with growth comes better decisions, better habits, and better outcomes, especially financially. So, keep asking questions. Keep learning from every conversation, every experience, every mistake. Stay curious enough to never feel like you've arrived. And choose people who fuel that fire, not those who extinguish it. Because in the journey to wealth, knowledge and environment are two of your greatest allies.